In the last 6 months, I've been able to help multiple people make anywhere from $3,000 to $12,000 per month with something called appointment setting. And no, I'm not here to sell you some shit you do not need. Instead, I'm gonna give you access to a private group call I recorded in my community a few weeks back. This video is slightly more advanced, so if you haven't done setting before, I suggest checking out the channel, watching some other videos, and going from there too. With that being said, if you like this style of content and you want to see more private material, leave a like, comment, and let me know. Peace. Jamie, what I'm gonna get you to do is introduce the offer, kind of talk about what you're doing on the offer, and then we can start diving right into the DMs. Boys, if you have anything you want to throw at him, do it. I know Jamie's good, but he can be a lot better right now, so I need the criticism from you guys. If you hold back, I'm gonna just call you out. I'm gonna be like, yo, what could he do better? So be fucking
Boys, don't hold back. Like,
yeah.
go full in. I can take criticism fairly well, so yeah.
The whole point is we all want to do better. So also turn on your cameras. What is this? Let's do it.
I don't know if I should leave my camera on while I'm setting. You're just gonna see me like this.
Even better. Even better. All right. Let's rip into it. Let's rip into it. Turn on your cameras, or I'm gonna call you out.
Well, I'll start introducing the offer anyway, boys. So yeah, I'll give you a quick brief. So I'm working with Josh Chang. He was a fitness coach for like 2 years, I think, scaled that up to 30K. And then he transitioned into doing a kind of fitness business consulting. Probably, what was it about? Shit, well, when did he actually start working with Sua? It's like nearly a year though, I'd say.
Oh, a while back, bro. A while
Yeah,
back. He's
I
been in the fitness space for a while.
it's been about a year, boys, since he started working with Sua. Scaled that up to 50K. But now, yeah, he's just working with kind of lower tier B2B fitness coaches doing about 2 to 5K. Sometimes we kind of transition in between doing B2C as well, like guys that are doing guys that are doing 9 to 5 jobs, but they're slowly trying to transition into doing coaching full time. So yeah, essentially he just gives them his systems, client acquisition process, fucking just anything. You have direct access to them. There's a one-to-one mentorship program, but there's also a foundations program. So obviously the one-to-one mentorship is kind of self-explanatory, but the foundations program is essentially he just gives you most of the video modules from his one-to-one coaching, but you only get like group calls once a week, and you might get some mastermind events and a couple of like special guest group calls and stuff. But yeah, that's about it. So the one-to-one mentorship, I think, is 6K, going up to 8K in a month, and the foundations program is 1K right now. But yeah, I think that's everything. But yeah, I will get into the setting anyway, boys. So bear with me. Get my screen up.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Just let me know when you see it, and we'll be good to run. Right, should be it.
Yeah, all good.
Right, bet. Okay. Boom. So, yeah, see, with this guy, he's kind of has a shit page, so I can't really use a bullshit line like, "Oh, bro, your foundations are low key sick. How come you only have 2, 3 right now?" So here I would say it's still early conversation, so still kind of in the little bit of a rapport phase. So generation, not bad. You must have at least a couple of clients by now. So here, if you can't use the line, "Oh shit, bro, I thought you'd have way more. Your foundations are actually kind of sick," you can just call out a bullshit number. So if he says I'm rocking with 2, 3 clients right now, I can literally just come in with something like, "Oh, fire, bro, run it up. Must be hitting like." Now, this is just going to be bullshit, but that's the whole point. Must be hitting like 4 or 5K a month by now, right? Then just kind of leave it at that. Let's see. So this guy came from a poll.
Your thought process as well, because if you say like I'm just gonna bullshit and there's no context, people don't understand why, right?
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm bullshitting is because it's kind of I'm kind of shit at explaining my thought process. But if I say to him, "You must be doing like 4 or 5K a month by now, right?" Obviously, he's gonna say something along the lines of, "Damn, no, bro, I'm actually nowhere near that." Then I can start to go, "Oh, for real? How come, bro?" And then he'll start to kind of dig into it. Well, I'm not charging high ticket, or the clients I have right now are just kind of bum at the minute. Dealing with some Indians, or just in general, my lead quality isn't that great, or maybe my sales skills aren't that good, so I can't really afford to charge much, or anything along the lines of that. Or you might bring up testimonials, or just anything, and then from there I can kind of dig into it a little bit more. But yeah, I hope that explains it a little bit better. So I see this guy. So still a relatively fresh conversation. Yeah, he just came from a poll, struggling with lead gen and content. So he replied today just saying, yeah, bro, content. I have the feeling the content I'm creating is not engaging enough for niche. I said, shit, bro. Was dead or something. Hi, good to hear from you. What types of content you've been trying so far? So I've been watching viral videos and I've tried to copy them. It's not a bad idea to try viral formats, but if you don't understand why they work, it's generally not going to be a great idea. So here I could say something along the lines of, let me think. Could say something. I could give him a little bit of free sauce, but nothing too crazy. I could say something like, let me think. Yeah, I feel you, bro. I almost myself, but didn't. Yeah. Uh, but I can't really use a line here like, how's that been working out so far? Because obviously struggling with lead gen, so that wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. And so I could say something along the lines of, uh, I'd say, uh, I'd definitely and trying out a couple different formats. Something. So head talking, mindset, nutrition, uh, exercise, correction, blah blah blah, etc. Most important would be creating content that appeals to your ICP. Now here, usually I throw out some sort of like jargon or like a load of buzzwords and shit like that because since this guy is relatively new and I can kind of tell like he's not really that serious about being a coach. Well, he is serious, but he's not really like that dialed in. So there's a fairly good chance when I'm like kind of throwing out shit like this, like, oh, head talking, mindset, nutrition, exercise form correction, but most importantly would be making content that appeals to your ICP. There's going to be a fairly good chance he's going to end up saying something like, oh, what's ICP, bro? And then I can start just kind of going into what you don't know what your ICP is, bro. When you're making, if you don't even know what your ICP is, like, how are you gonna know if your content's gonna, work for them or if they're gonna find it valuable, or how are you gonna know what's gonna stick and what's not gonna stick? Just blah blah blah, go on from there. Just to kind of give them a little bit of sauce, but not too much. But then also show them, we kind of have authority and we kind of know what we're talking about at the same time. So eventually, at some point in the conversation, it's going to come to a point where he's going to ask for help, and then I can kind of transition from there. Or I can kind of use some light testimonials, like if he goes, "Oh, bro, what could I do here? What could I try there?" I could do something like, "Oh, you know what, bro? My guy at Joshua Rabin was dealing with the same problems. He was running in loops with his content for months. I helped him tweak it or dial in his ICP, align the content to make sure that it was actually appealing to them and they found it valuable. And he ripped 3,500 a month from that. And then he could usually go like, "Oh, no way, bro, for real? That's insane." And then you kind of have the power in your hands there to kind of transition it to a book call. But I wouldn't rush the book call too quickly because obviously right here we don't even have enough pain. So yeah, I'm probably just going to continue to just dive in a little bit more and then eventually try to transition over.
Yeah,
Now, this
okay.
guy here, I've been
What I
following
would
this
have
guy
done.
for a long ass time.
Sorry to interrupt you, but what I would have done is variation. I would have been like, what I usually get my guys to do, bro, is try like 4 different variations of content, do it daily for like a month, and then see kind of what works for you. Since since everyone's ICP, can you guys hear the car? Sorry. Okay, there we go. It's gone. Since everyone's ICP is different, you kind of got to see what goes well for you, and then you double down on that. So I kind of would have done the same thing. That car is so fucking annoying. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I would have pretty much told him like, do something every single day. Try like 4 or 5 different variations of content, and then double down on what works best, depending on the ICP you attract. So the same thing, but I would have like maybe just said it better. So like what I usually get my guys to do, and they just think, okay, well they're your clients, so they must be crushing it, right? Like this is a little bit psychological, but it's like they're your clients that must be crushing, and maybe I should do that as well. And then you get it in the idea in his head that like the fitness coaches that are doing well, making money, are doing this. I should be doing this, and this guy has the answers. I wouldn't even bother editing it, but I'd be like, what I usually get my guys to do, like I'd even avoid words like recommend, just because the way Josh talks, I know he kind of says recommend, but I would try like dumb down what you're kind of saying, especially because you're going down to like B2C instead of like, I know it's B2B, but this guy's specifically B2C technically. So I would dumb down the shit you're saying because they don't really like. You can say ICP to like get them curious, but I wouldn't really use words like recommend. Like what I usually get my guys to do is like 4 different content styles, and then do that every single day for like a month, and then double down on whatever works for you and whatever performs best for you. But ultimately, it comes down to your ICP, bro. It comes down to what your ICP is, you know? So I would do it in the same way, but like in the beginning, I tried some viral formats, didn't really get that far. That's what every fucking guy says. That's the issue. You sound like every other guy, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's a difference between relating it back to yourself and relating it back to your journey. That's what a setter would do. But what Josh would do would be like relate it back like pain point wise. This isn't pain point wise. This is just like fundamentals, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah. No,
So
that makes sense.
instead of having the middle section, I would have said what I usually get my guys to do. And I wouldn't have even said the first bit. I would have said, yeah, bro, I feel you. What I usually get my guys to do is X, Y, and Z. And then I would like list out a few content styles. So like inspiration, rants, client results, lifestyle, day in the life, whatever the fuck it is. It could be like value, documentation, motivation, lifestyle. It doesn't really matter. I'm reading off of my own shit. And then from there, you can kind of be like, it just kind of comes down to your ICP, bro. And then he'd be
Yeah,
like, what's your ICP? But you just sound a little bit more competent. I feel like it's the same thing, but you're kind of compressing it in a better way in my eyes, you know?
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Will I
It's the
will,
same thing.
will I delete the first or the two middle sections here then, or just keep?
You can, but I wouldn't get in the habit of deleting messages. I wouldn't let yourself do it. Not often.
Yeah, yeah. So with this next guy, I've been talking to him for a while, but the only thing is he's kind of DQ because he literally got kicked out of his the apartment he was renting like 2 months ago, or not even 2 months ago, like 2 days ago. So I'm not going to push too hard on it and try to transition it to a book call. So for a lot of the conversation, I've just been kind of, how would you say, resonating with him or giving him some free sauce, helping him here and there. But usually, because this was the problem I fell into with a lot of these leads that Josh has. If a person's DQ or you just have a feeling they just don't really have the money to get anywhere with this, or they have too many obligations or bills to pay, you don't want to spend too much time on them because then at the end of the day, it's going to kind of break up your momentum, and you're not that you lose confidence with your setting, but you're spending so much time on people that you just know are not going to get anywhere, and it almost depresses you to a point. But at the same time, you kind of feel bad about just kind of leaving them high and dry. But that's where you should just honestly just give them some free sauce or content and then just kind of leave them on their way, because it's not beneficial for anyone to just keep continuing the conversation with these types of people. Like for example, he said here, no, I have no 9 to 5. If I could afford to make three calls tomorrow, I'd afford to pay my bills. So then I just said, shit, bro, if I were you, I'd just run up a 9 to 5 part time again, just to give you some stability and kind of take the pressure off your mind. Stack some cash from that, invest in a mentor, and then go all in. It's the method I took, and it ran me up to 30K a month. And then we're just going on for a little bit here, just kind of resonating with them, just saying I shoot over some free sauce just to kind of help out with where you are. I did that, and then eventually he came back yesterday, I think it was. Where was it? Oh yeah, or Friday he came back and he said, "Yo, I just you just have meaning. You just have me a meaning, whatever that means. Yeah, you gave me the feeling I have potential. I just closed the client over the call right now, and you speak from the heart. You talk slow. You talk deep. I need to make more money so I can work with you. So just by me kind of building rapport with him over the past couple of days and kind of dropping him some vague sauce here and there, dropping some content, now we have an extremely warm lead, because not only did he close the client from the sauce, but the fact that we were still building rapport with him in the background, now we have a lead here where as soon as he has money, he's going to reinvest with us. And I didn't even have to spend like that much time, like kind of just going back and forth with him, compared to what I used to do a couple of weeks ago, where, Jesus, I'd sometimes be talking to these guys for nearly 2 hours a day. But you shouldn't be afraid to just kind of leave people high and dry. Just give them a little bit of sauce and then just kind of move from there, because it worked out my favor here, only for Josh kind of has like really valuable content on his YouTube. So then we were just kind of going, just giving him some advice, blah, blah, blah. But here now he starts talking about what his problems are. So I said to him, what would you say you're struggling with most right now, bro? I'm gonna send some free resources your way. I usually use that line, and I will send the resources, but I usually use that line when if they're just kind of not giving me that much to work off of and they're kind of being dry, then I'll just use that. And then eventually they'll just give you the pain point. And then you can just kind of continue the conversation from there. And then obviously eventually, you can give them the sauce just to keep your word and not kind of sound like a bit of a fucking twat. But he said, yeah, I think what I struggle with most is creating enough quality leads. Have a lot of people engaging with me, but the conversion rate is very small. So usually this would either have to do with content, his appointment setting style, or he's just kind of shitting on the sales call itself. So I just said, yeah, I hear you, bro. I had those problems in the beginning when I was trying to run this up, just to, kind of resonate with him a little bit, just to show he's not dope, he's not retard. We all kind of have to go through these trials and tribulations as a coach in order to get through the other side. So then I just said, why do you think that's happening to you, man? And he goes, I think I don't target them specifically with my content. So then I just went with, yeah, I feel you, bro. It can happen. It was the same for me. Now, I probably shouldn't have said that same line twice. I think it was up there. I said, it happened to me in the beginning. I don't want to kind of, how would you say, loop what I'm saying, like word over word over word, because it kind of comes across as like a little bit bottish. So that was a little bit of a mistake on my end. But I just said, yeah, it was the same for me in the beginning. How long you been dealing with this for? I think for quite some time. So here I could literally just ask him, yeah, I get you, man. What types of content have you been testing so far? Just keep it nice and simple. So then eventually he's going to tell me what types of content he's been testing. And then I can kind of give him, like with the other DM, we just went over a little bit of sauce, like, oh, what I usually get my guys to try is 4 different types of content over a month, see what works best. And then just kind of put a bracket with like mindset, head talking videos, info, exercise correction, all this kind of shit. And then just kind of go from there and then dig it up a little bit. But we'll go to the next one. Yeah, so I was kind of going with this guy for Jesus quite a long time. But with people like this, it's like what I was saying earlier. If you feel like a lead doesn't have the resources or the funds to kind of work with you, you're better off just burning these people off, drop them some free sauce and kind of leave it and not waste your own time. Because I wasted a lot of time with this guy, only for him to say, oh yeah, I don't actually have the money, bro, I'm in school. So what you can learn from me is qualify these people early, because like that's one thing I wasn't doing, because I was getting so like kind of caught up in rapport and just being relatable peer to peer. But you need to qualify these people early, otherwise you are just burning time as a setter. So that's one thing I would say when you're starting off conversation. You can start with, oh, where you based, bro, blah blah blah. They'll say, oh, Miami or Florida, Tampa, whatever the case. You can say, oh, that's sick, bro. I actually know a couple of guys out there. Been meaning to plan a trip out there for a minute. Any recs on where to stay, and then they can kind of go, yeah, I do this and this. And then you can just jump in with, oh, by the way, what do you do out there, bro? You a coach full time, or you're working a 9 to 5 or something? Just qualify them early, so then you don't have to waste so much time like I was.
After this, let's go through a combo that you thought was really good and a combo you thought was like okay. Because I want to try pinpoint what you're doing wrong. And right before you show those combos as well, tell me what you think what you're struggling with essentially. I want to keep an eye on those. Isaac, I want you to keep an eye on this stuff as well. Because he's dealing with shit you used to struggle with as well, so you can help him a lot here too.
Right. So on the combo that I thought went good. This one. So this was the old setter. Where am I? 15th, yeah. Just here. I thought this combo was fairly straightforward. I wouldn't say it was my best combo, but in terms of like not wasting too much time on the lead and just kind of keeping straight to the point, I would say this was a pretty decent one. He booked in today and he's a qualified lead, which is good. But yeah, we'll just start from here. So he was just kind of not glazing us, but just kind of showing support on the content. And I said, "Oh, sick, bro. Appreciate you fucking with the content. I've been dialing it in for a minute. Gonna go crazy with it over the summer. What you do right now that makes you want to transition into coaching." So then he goes, I've been lifting and doing body transformation for about 3 years now. I want to start making money from it and helping people get comfortable in their own skin. So he's opening up now. He's giving us some information to run off of.
Was that you or
But
the setter?
non-stop. Well,
Was that you or the old setter?
I started the conversation. So this was the old setter from here, and then this is where I started the conversation. So that was from the third, and then the
What you doing
15th
right now?
from
Was that you?
here, right here now. This is me.
Would you have changed anything looking back now?
Mm, none. Yeah, I probably after I would have said the line been done in for a minute, bro, I probably wouldn't have said what you're doing right now that makes you want to transition into coaching because it kind of comes off as a bit setter like or a bit borish. So
Yeah,
it could have been you could have said something along the lines of seeing you've been crushing it with content too, bro, because I think he posts a little bit here and there. So yeah, he posts content too. So you could literally just throw back at him and say, "Seeing you've been crushing it with content too, bro. How's everything been coming along on your end?" Try to
I
keep it
don't
a
like
little bit
that.
more
That
subtle.
sales resistance as well. I would have been like, he's watching your content. I would have been like, "You trying to get into coaching?" Question mark. Like just like something casual. Like, "Oh, sick, bro. Appreciate you fucking with the content. Been downloading. In. You trying to get into coaching?" Question mark. Or like, "How come you're watching the content? You trying to get into coaching?" Or like, I don't know if his account looked like he was already doing coaching because this was 12 days ago. With fitness coaches, are always revamping their accounts. But what you're doing right now is sales resistance. How are things coming along on your end? Sounds like fucking setter all the time. How are things coming along? How are you finding the content? How are you finding X? How are you finding Y? It's like appreciate you following or you follow for X or Y. Same fucking thing.
Yeah,
So I would have
yeah,
switched it up and I'd be like, how come you could have either said, how come you're rushing the content, by the way? You're trying to get into setting in like one sentence, or you trying to get or you're trying to get into coaching, or you could have just been like, you're trying to get into coaching. You're trying to get into coaching, by the way. Like I would have made it casual, spur of the moment sounding, but I would have said that and said, like, what are you doing right now that makes you want to transition into online coaching? Because then you could have been like, "Oh, how come, bro? You work a job you don't fuck with," or like, it would have just been a little bit more natural. He still gave you what you needed, so it still works. But you're gonna have a higher drop off rate in the future if you're always using this because it's a little bit more sales resistant. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely.
You're gonna stop
Val,
So
sounding like a setter. What's up?
can you say so? Usually, what I do is like, oh, I'll be like, oh, that's like, if they're doing fucking insurance broker or whatever, I'd be like, oh, that's a solid gig. What's been on your mind lately that makes you want to get into fitness coaching or whatever that is?
That sounds like a solid
exactly.
gig, bro. That sounds like a solid job, bro. How come you're trying to get into coaching, though? Or like, how come you're trying to get to coaching? Yeah, like it is good, but then there's always a fucking but, and you're like, what's the but? And then you capture that and you use it against it.
How is
You know
that
what I mean?
different to what I just said in terms of like how it comes across?
Same thing. It's the same
Oh,
thing. It just sounds a little bit nicer. It's like my thing is like I think it's more prompted to get you a but with your one, it's like, yeah, it's a solid job. Oh, I want to get into coaching to make some more money.
yeah.
But if you're like, yeah, like sounds like a solid job, bro. How come you're trying to transition? If you say transition, it might work a little bit better too, because they might say I'm not trying to transition, then you might sound retarded, so be careful how you do it. Or
True.
they might be like, oh yeah, I want to transition because I really like my job, but I want to make extra money on the side. Or I want to make money on the side, or I don't like my job and I want to transition out.
Okay.
So you're kind of more prompting an answer.
Because
It's kind of like
most of
baiting
the
them.
times I haven't had any issue when I use the whole "what's been on your mind lately" that makes you want to get into fitness coaching. They're always on like, "Oh, I want to build something for myself. I'm tired of being under somebody else's like company or whatever."
It's personal preference. You're going for emotions. I'm like, why the fuck are you trying to break out, bro?
Oh,
It's personal preference. It works well. But if you're on a woman offer, that's gonna crush. If you're on a more emotional offer, that's gonna crush. But if you're on a more competent offer, if it was like super B2B, you need to be a little bit more direct. You gotta be like, how come you're trying to do this though? You gotta bait them a little bit.
I think
Like
that's why it works for mine is because mine's quite emotional, especially with the content he puts out.
yeah,
Most of the guys are
it
literally
works well.
begging him.
I wouldn't change it. It works well. But if it was a little bit more B2B-esque, then maybe. Like, for example, what we do with our guys is I can't have Chris sounding like a setter because that's the nature of my thing, right? So it's just fucked if I sound like a setter. So when we reach out to people, ask Peter, we were like, yo, appreciate the follow, bro. Wait, where are you from? I can't tell lol. And they fates him. He's like, oh shit. And I said I can't tell lol. He didn't even have a profile picture. So he's like, oh shit, no, I'm from here. And I was like, damn, bro. And then we had a conversation, right? but you got to kind of bait people as well, and that's how I kind of prompt my questions. I don't know how to display that properly. That's what I like to do. You don't do it like a total retard, but you're very fucking subtle with it. With like one word. How come you're trying to transition them or something like that? You know, keep it smooth. But your shit works, so don't change it. But you
Yeah,
can play around
yeah,
with
yeah.
it. You can split test. You know.
So after we used that line anyway, so he started opening up a little bit, and obviously he's talking about fucking with the content. So been watching your YouTube nonstop to find some sauce. I know you can help me make money online. I deleted a lot of my content because I went through it, but I want to build up my content for people to buy my coaching business, you know. And then I said, yeah, I feel you, bro. You've got a plan in place. You're still in the drawing room right now. So even here, like it's an okay line to use, but it still comes across as I'd say a little bit. It's still a little bit setter, like to be honest. Like it's an okay
Your
that
message,
question, but
your message positioning sucks. You start off with acknowledgement, and then you ask the question. You did it the opposite. What's going to be the last thing in his mind is the acknowledgement, the appreciation. Then he's going to go off of that and maybe give you more there. You want the last thing in his mind to be the question, because then he'll probably give you a little bit more. You know,
yeah,
that's what I would
definitely.
have done. I would have switched that around.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been trying to work on now. Is just kind of keep it from least priority, and then as I move down in the replies, just keep it the top priority as my very last reply. Obviously with the question, but
You have
you know,
this weird mental perception where you're saying you're working on it. Like, bro, it's really easy to fix. It's just when you ask the question, ask it at the end. Like it's done. You've already fixed it. I don't know why you have this perception that you're working on it. It's already fixed. If you have that mentality, then you're not going to struggle with it anymore. You have too many
yeah,
struggles right now, but they're not real problems, bro. No,
yeah, yeah,
that's what I've noticed
definitely.
what you're saying.
So yeah, after I asked that question anyway, yeah, I feel all right. I feel you, bro. You got a plan in place. You're still in the drawing room right now. And he goes, yeah, just trying to get shredded again, so it'll be easier to sell clients and also try to perfect content. I feel like I lack the most there. Blah, blah. Feel you, bro. So yeah, this probably wasn't the greatest thing to say either. I feel you, bro. What you've been struggling with most when it comes to perfecting the content, G? You know, I could have made it a little bit more subtle. I could have, you know, said, well, what type of content have you been testing? What's worked best for you? What's not been working best? You know, just anything along the lines of
Can I
not
just
losing the
buy in
words.
quickly, Jamie? Sorry. You have a bit of a structure problem. You keep asking your questions first. And look, in this next one, he's gonna start because he's an okay lead, but some leads will just reply to the last thing you say. So you shouldn't be asking your questions first.
This was also 11 days ago, so it doesn't do as much, but definitely
Okay.
worth outlining as well. Yo, Jamie, what I would have done here was, what do you mean, bro? Like, wait, go back up to it, because I can give you something subtle. Just trying to get shredded again. I also like perfect content. I'm trying to perfect content. Feel like, what do you mean, bro? What are you struggling with?
Yeah.
And then he'll give you the answer. Oh, I'm struggling exactly with this. Okay, how come, bro? Like, why don't you just do this and then authority line or whatever the fuck you want to do? Don't overcomplicate it. What do you mean, bro? What are you struggling with? If you don't understand, get clarity. Super easy. If somebody asks me some stupid shit or they say some stupid shit, I'm like, what do you mean, bro? And then they'll give me more, and I'm like, cool. But if you give them the opportunity to give you more, they might just go into pain, and then it makes it super easy for you.
Yeah.
You don't need to ask this whole question. If you just say, what do you mean, bro, or how come, or why, and you keep it pretty decent, like you'll be fine. That light on? I think it's off.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do.
So
But yeah,
after
exactly.
here, I should have structured it a little bit better, where I just kind of went with the statement first and then went with the question afterwards. So after that, I just said, yeah, feel you, bro. What you've been struggling with most when it comes to, you know, kind of perfecting the content, G. And then he said, I feel like getting high quality leads from my content is the hardest part. Now here, obviously, I said, you know, how come? You know, I could have just made it a little bit easier by just kind of following that.
You said feel you, bro, twice.
throughout here.
You said feel you, bro, and then you
Switch
said
up your
feel you, bro.
acknowledgement. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit sucks.
Yeah.
Feel you, bro. Feel you, bro.
Hit you, bro, as
Yeah,
well.
I should have used a little bit more variation, like, yeah, I get you, man, or yeah, I hear you, man, rather than just,
I used to do the same thing. Sorry to interrupt you. Reference for thumb is don't say bro every fucking message. One in three, maybe. Not an overcomplication. Just stop saying bro. You sound like such a frat boy. Chill out. You're an Irish lad. Relax.
yeah.
I have a question
so,
with that.
he goes,
What if that's how your guide actually talks, for example?
If they say it to you, you can match the energy. But if I say bro to you and then you don't say bro back to me, I'm not saying bro again. Maybe down the line to like reattempt. This is such a small thing, but then it kind of builds a tiny bit of like this is literally the tiniest fucking percentile bullshit. It helps a tiny bit, But it's like in reality, if you say bro every message, it just gets really repetitive. It sounds like
There's
you're saying
always
the
like
same
the
shit.
golden three. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always just go with the golden three. So like bro, man, and G. And I'll drop G occasionally. Like I'll never use that much, but just always switch it up between them three. Never no two messages in the same row with bro. Like
Yeah.
otherwise it gets on people's nerves, I feel like.
I don't know, bro. If somebody messaged me with bro every message, like honestly, sometimes, not always, but I kind of want to stop replying. I'm not just saying that. Like I don't love bro. Like chill out.
Yeah.
Even like I would do it every like 2 or 3. 3 is good. 3 is always good reference. Even when copywriting, they say the power of 3. 3 is powerful.
Yeah, so just kind of rotate between bro, man, G, and then even sometimes don't even need to use it, to be honest. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
So yeah, here I said, yeah, I hear you, bro. What were you doing now before this or what were you doing before that's different now? Because he did mention before that he was his content was doing okay, but then it kind of dropped off after a bit. So I said, or he said, I'm gonna start adding more knowledge to my videos so people can learn and then ask me questions from that. Then gonna do some motivational videos like some of the bigger creators, so people get motivated and then doom scroll my page. Then hopefully get them to ask me how I get shredded or some shit like that. I said, yeah, I get you, man. And before,
Go
well,
up a tiny bit real quick. I just want to pinpoint something as well.
right, go ahead.
Oh, scroll up a tiny bit. So you stay in the same position, Phil, bro. How come? And then he tells you, you're like, what were you doing different? What you could have played the dumb card and be like, I'm confused, bro. What, like, I'm confused, bro. What's different now, or like what's changed? But that would have been better than I hear you, bro. Because you don't hear him. You don't know, so you just see clarity. I'm confused, bro. What's different now? Question mark. It doesn't sound like a question, even though it is. But you're gonna get so much more. Even though you did get a lot, it's just little cleanups, I guess. I don't know how you want to put it. It's
Yeah.
subtle cleanups. You just make your shit better and more optimized over time. Because then it sounds more natural, more spur of the moment. That's what I push Chris to do. No script, no framework, very spur of the moment. You know?
Yeah. No, it's usually these tiny little things that start to fuck me up in the setting, like things that just kind of go in between the lines. But yeah, no, that makes
They're not
a lot
real
of sense.
problems. They're not real problems.
Well, tweaks, improvements, whatever.
Yeah. They're easy. You just gotta read your shit before you send it. Just have a checklist. If you really want, create a checklist of a few things and be like, does it sound spur of the moment? Is there, bro, like 20 times in a fucking row? Do I have the same report I just had? Is it relating back to me? Like, have these small little things. If you want, you can ask Chris. He can give you kind of like a mental checklist he might have for me. So I know he kind of does that thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. So
that will help you, I think, because you're making a lot of silly mistakes.
Yeah. So he goes.
You were like a week ago. Sorry, go ahead.
No, let's go. So I'm gonna start adding more knowledge to my videos so people can learn and then ask me questions from it. Then gonna do some motivational videos like some of the bigger creators, so people get motivated and then doom scroll my page. Then hopefully ask me how I get shredded or some shit like that. And I said, yeah,
Do you watch Josh's videos?
No.
His YouTube.
Sometimes.
You 100% should. You should watch at least the new ones. Because the best way for you to set really good is for you to understand everything about the offer. Everything about the industry, everything about the space, things people are struggling with. Even if it's like surface level, sure, you can say ICP, but if you understand why ICP is so important and how you could attract a specific ICP through content, that's more helpful. Watch his content. Like 1 video a day is cool. Dissect it,
What I was doing to try and understand the offer a little bit more was actually just going through like his he doesn't have like modules, but it's like he just has like documents that you can just kind of go through and it kind of explains a little bit more about how things work. But yeah, I think it's
what I
a lot
want you
more
to
sense.
YouTube videos, because that's what people are seeing, and also group coaching calls, because that's saucier. Join his group coaching calls, because that's what Matthew does as well, unless you're asleep. That's what Matthew did when he said on the account. Join the group coaching calls, watch his YouTube videos as well. YouTube videos, people perceive you based on your free value, not the quality of your program. So they see the stuff in the YouTube, and if you can expand on something they might have heard before in the YouTube that from the group calls, it's gonna be so much better, right? So I'd put emphasis on both. Join all the group calls you can until you get really, really good at the fucking offer, and watch the videos, because that's what people know. Right? So if they say something, you're like, yeah, I was just talking about it in my last video as well. That's going to be helpful. But you want to know what the fuck you're talking about, because right now you know surface level. You don't know enough.
Yeah.
It's the nature of the offer. It's more difficult,
Yeah.
Because it is entering B2B.
Yeah. So here I said, yeah, I get you, man. Beforehand, you said you were finding it hard to get leads from content. Do you have some sort of a funnel in place for them? No, I don't. Oh, for real? How come? So I had like DM me the word fit to get started, but besides that, I didn't really know how to create one. I said, yeah, I hear you, man, or bro. Now this is where I used to make mistakes when I was doing settings. So I'd give them like almost a little bit too much to work off of, like rather than just giving them some vague advice. Like I kind of literally like used to like give them a step by step of how things should work or how they should operate, and it can kind of either come off as a little bit of like an info dump, and it can kind of scare them off, or you give them just enough sauce for them to actually go off and work on it on their own. So then you kind of like lose your leverage at that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I can give you an example, Loki, of what I did with Mantis today on a role play. Mantis, do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to mention it?
Well, just kind of.
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, it would be better.
So I pretty much said, he was telling me like his ecom wasn't going well because he was trying to do organic, and I was like, honestly, bro, if it's your first time, I wouldn't do organic. It's a whole different skill set. Algorithm is difficult to crack. I didn't say anything else. It was a statement. Then he goes, what would you suggest? And I go, all my guys who are paid organic is good, etc., etc. I just tell him what's better, and then he builds off of that, and I'm like, yo, I mean, we can get on a call. I can go through this. I did it a little bit down the line. The whole point is you kind of mention what he shouldn't do, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. What should I do? And then you're like, oh, you should do this. You give him surface level. And then he's like, oh, how do I do that? And then you're like, how about this? Let's get on the call. Perfect. Especially if the closer's good and Josh is getting good. You know?
Yeah, Josh is getting some. I think he's getting some sales coaching now. I think it's like a couple of times.
From me. No, I got one of my homies to hook him up. Yeah.
No, that's
That was good.
That's sick.
Jaime is fucking fire. Jaime is in the group calls. I would join those if I were you, Jamie. If you ever want to learn closing, join those group sales calls. Learn from Jaime. He's a killer closer. He's making 20K a month right now. I'll probably get him on a group call in the future for you boys because I've helped him out a little bit. So he owes me 1 or 2 pennies.
Yeah, no, well, I don't know if we'll go down the closing route, but I'm definitely going to start joining the group calls.
Worth knowing it, bro. Worth knowing it. Even if you're not going to do it, you get paid on the skill sets you have. So sure, now you're setting and you're making money. You're going to make more money next month. But if you really want to be the guy making 10, 20, 50K a month, you need to acquire the skill sets first. You don't get lucky and make 50K in a month. Let me get on those calls. Hell no. You're not in Josh Chang's community, Clay. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Be correct.
But yeah. Anyway, I went back and said to him after that is you do have the foundations to rip though with the right guidance and execution. So my guy at Joshua Rabin had less than 100 followers when I started working with him. Dialed in his funnel, but I gave him a little bit too much to work off of here. And then I said, as soon as we dialed that in, he ripped 3,500 a month. And then he said, I heard you talk about that in your YouTube video. Actually, how do I create a funnel? Now here I just said kind of hard to explain over the DMs, brother, since there's a ton of moving parts to it. We can run up a call though, show you how I mapped out Josh's and see how I could help yours, brother. He set him down, then he tried to give me his phone number to kind of take away the power. So rather than getting him on a sales call, he expected me to just give him a call. So I just said, oh, I'm hella autistic, bro. I like to keep everything on my calendar in front of me. I'll drop my calendar, find a day that works for you. So
Chris, do you want to dissect this or will I?
You do it, but I just don't like it. But I wouldn't know how to dissect it. I feel like I just never would say this shit.
The way Chris,
it's also keeping
says,
authority. I'm hella autistic, bro. You've lost all authority.
Yeah. I'm hella autistic, bro. I like to keep everything on the calendar. It kind of like degrades you a little bit, like not a lot, but the way Chris does it is like, my bad, bro. I'm being a retard. It's like it's very spur of the moment. Oh, I'm not a retard. I just made some retarded mistake. So it's not like the way you're doing it is like I'm naturally more dumb. And then all of a sudden, when he gets on a call with you, he's going to have a lower perception of you. This is, once again, a very psychological thing. Zach, you're probably watching this like, what the fuck is he talking about? Don't worry. You're not at this level yet, so don't worry. But this is something like, if you say this all the time, people are going to get on the sales call and they're naturally going to have a little bit more respect for you in the back of their mind.
The whole point is here that we're trying to help him out because we know more. Josh knows more than him. Josh has helped other people.
You can also break down a DM funnel. You can be like, the whole point is you want people that are interested in your coaching to reach out to you, and you want to figure out how to get them to message you or whatever. You can simplify what a funnel is, because the whole point of a sales process or a setting process is to have people interested be more likely to reach out to you. You can say that to him, and then he'll be like, oh, how do I do that? And you're like, yo, how about this? Let's go on a call. We can go through everything. Also, let's use a calendar just because whether you need the questions or whether you want to keep it on your calendar.
Yeah.
And you can also like take that. You'd be like, I got a lot of. I don't know if you'd want to do this. It just depends on the nature of you. But you could be like, I got hella calls going on all week. How about this? I'm gonna send you my calendar. I'm gonna open up 2 days. Go ahead and book in one of those. Or I'm gonna open up some time slots. Go ahead and book in one of those.
Yeah, that makes a
I
lot
like
more
that.
sense to use. Right, so
Yeah.
after that anyway, he booked in, or he didn't book in. He said, you free Sunday? It doesn't say on the calendar. I'm not free till 4:30 for a call Sunday. I said, nah, my calendar only lets you pick 3 days ahead of time, brother. So then he scheduled, and then I said, bet, let's run it. And then I said, by the way, I checked your calendar answers. You mentioned having 1,000 to invest. That's correct, or is that accurate? And I said, no, I just put the one above it. So then I just gave him some pre-call material. This is literally only just up to this point here. Just gave him some pre-call material just to go into, so he has a little bit more clarity before he goes in. And then I essentially just drop the link just for when it's closer to the time of the call. He has that there to go.
Any final notes, Chris?
Huh?
Well,
Any final notes, Chris? Or any of you boys, actually, for that matter. Isaac, you specifically as well. Adam, you got something?
I completely agree with the whole autistic thing. I usually like to do it like I'm doing them a favor. So I'll be like, here's what I'll do for you, or what I'll do for you is this, blah blah blah. And then I'll be like, oh, also send me a screenshot so I can make sure I get you added to my personal calendar. So then it kind of builds that, oh shit, I'm going to be on this personal calendar. It feels there's just a bit more subtle one-to-one kind of connection. I'm doing you a favor. I'm doing this for you specifically. And then I'll also finish off because my leads, oh my God, they're so silly sometimes. I'll be like, by the way, did you get a confirmation email, a link to our Google Meet or Zoom? It will be in the email. I can't put into words how many times I've had people be like, oh, I thought you were going to call me directly. I was sitting at my laptop. I'm like, you silly boy. But I do think that's beneficial just because even if it's just 1 or 2 leads a week that do that, that's 1 or 2 potential closes that you now have to rebook onto another call.
Yeah, agree. His is slightly like B2B scaling existing fitness coaches so they don't make that much of a mistake.
Mine's exactly the
think.
same.
Is it? Oh,
Bro,
shit.
I scale, or help people get into and scale
Yeah.
fitness coaching. And the amount of times
Josh is trying to do directly B2B now.
people don't know that they've received a link in their confirmation email. I'm just
That
like,
just
look,
tells you coaches are retarded. That just tells you coaches are also retarded. But all these guys making money are also
so
retarded.
stupid.
Chris, don't worry. Val's retarded. Val's retarded. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm not saying you retarded. Yeah. It's fucked. Okay.
Right.
Isaac,
So-
what do you think is one of the biggest mistakes he makes that you used to make, and what did you do to fix it? This should have gonna be soft.
Hold on, let me turn on my light real quick.
Damn,
Putting
it's
this
getting
light
ready.
on so he's trying to get a light bulb moment. You see this? That's such a shit joke.
That's awful. That was awful.
I'm gonna go pee. I'm
Um,
gonna go pee while I listen.
I think holding the authority as well and building and like doing too much report to the point where it's not progressing the conversation is something I used to do. I used to spend, like you said, like hours building report. And then by the time I got to booking the call, I've just done all this report and he has no money. So I feel like, you know, whilst you're building that report early on, being able to more financially qualify them so that when you do then get to the call, you haven't just had a 2-hour conversation with them for them to only have $200 in their bank account. So basically having rapport, not for the sake of just building up a relationship, but actually progressing the conversation to where you're confident that they'll book in and actually have money or have whatever it takes to get on call.
Yeah, so I had like, I'd say, not even joking,
I mean, I still have
20,
this issue
25
with
guys
this.
that I had actively
but-
in the combos, I'd say like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when I first started the offer. I'm
Uh-huh.
going back and forth with them for a long time. Till eventually you booked them in, and literally that was the case scenario where they had no money and it was just fucking waste of time for the whole period throughout. Because I miss such small little things about just asking them, what do you do for work? Because if
Yeah.
they say like, I don't know, some random shit about their coaching or whatever, then I gloss over that fact of like, do they actually work a job right now? Do they have any source of income? Or are they just like going all in on this? And I just completely glaze over it until the point where I send them the calendar. And then it's only then I discover it and I'm like, oh, that's kind of shit. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was definitely
yeah.
a lot of time wasted.
that's why sometimes I find it beneficial to ask, like, oh, how much what would you want to be making with coaching or whatever, so that you can not only get another like emotional pain point if they haven't given one earlier on in the call, because then I sometimes be like, oh, so how much would X amount of money do, or sorry, what would X amount of money do for you aside from being able to go full time? So if you haven't got like a good emotional pain point to leverage earlier on in the conversation, I find that's beneficial a lot of times to then link back when you pitch the call. But
What I would suggest, because Jamie, sorry to interrupt you, Isaac, what Jamie does now a lot, which I really like, is touch points. And that's what I've been trying to push on you boys a lot more now. What Chris does, what I try to get him to do anyway, is do one authority line, give sauce where you can, and then leave it. And then they'll still come back. We have guys in our I just saw some weird ass message. Sorry. 1 million people. What the hell? That's crazy outrage. But what I was saying was,
He's an OFAP coach.
oh, fire. I met one of those guys in person. They're really weird. But, yeah. But what Chris does is, like, he doesn't waste time on conversations that are DQ. But in case they're not DQ in the future, you leave an authority line, you leave sauce where you can. They're going to come back and try to converse with you. You like their message, you cut it short, whatever. But now you're an authority in their mind. In the future, they're going to come and buy from you. That's free money in the future. You don't want to talk to them all fucking day. You don't want to not give sauce, because this is going to add an extra 20, 30% sales in the future, or whatever the statistic might be. But that's what I would suggest you boys. Isaac, I would take that. I know you already do that.
But my issue is I don't well, I do drop source in text form, but I've asked for like free content and shit, and I haven't got it. So I'm just gonna start going to the YouTube and just directly dropping that shit.
Or join his group calls. Get him to let you join his group calls.
Yeah.
I try not
Just,
to.
oh, sorry. Let me ask you this: who's the best setter you know right now? Who's the best setter you know?
Do you count?
No, you can't tell me. You can't tell me.
Okay, probably Teddy then.
Cool. You know what he did when he started working with Sue? He joined every group call.
Mhm.
When George, their dollar, started working on them, they joined every group call. If you don't understand the offer, how the fuck are you gonna tell people about the offer, or realize that they're good enough for the offer?
Yeah. The thing, I feel like
That's-
I have like a decent understanding of the offer at this point, and know what to say in terms of to give people source when they're asking me for stuff.
What do you think Chris is on these calls, bro?
He's a stinker,
He's
bro.
been on them. He's been on them since he joined, so he can learn all this shit. Because then he knows exactly who ISUP is if he's talking. Because he's like, oh, that guy's just like Adam, right? Or that guy's just like Zach, and it's just all this way.
Chris, what's the lead flow like on Val's account?
No,
Like genuinely, because like, yeah, genuinely.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Am I allowed to say?
when was the last time we got a message? An inbound.
Week and a half ago.
What are you talking about? We had one yesterday, or like 2 days ago. I know, no. That was an inbound. That was a booked call off YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. That's
You
not
just-
inbound.
Yes.
Warm
I've not had
outreach, really.
I've not had set for about a week and a half.
You're just doing warm outreach.
Yeah.
No, I've exhausted warm outbound. There's no more.
What are you doing? Just chilling on his account all day?
Well, I
How does bro make money?
people. I
You're
send-
just reminiscing on old conversations.
Touch point. Wait, if you want, we can dead ass talk about this after this call, because I got a plan for Chris. I just don't want to do it mid recording. But if you want, we can actually talk about it. We're gonna get him on a recruitment agency client setting as well.
Oh, I'll be sick.
So it's gonna be fire. We're gonna get him slaving away 30-hour days.
I was doing a role play with Aman Aman just before this, and it was like fitness, and I was realizing I don't know fuck all about fitness. Like I actually know nothing about other role plays
What do you mean? Look at this.
at this point. Huh?
What about this, bro? I've been teaching you about fitness, no?
No, like I vaguely remember stuff from Bart's conversations that I've been like trying to correct.
Yeah.
Like actually being the guy, I just realized I need to up my knowledge and everything. But I actually wanted to talk about something. I was gonna say some of the stuff you guys do in rapport building is pointless, like you said. So I try to follow this structure now. Whenever I feel like the conversation is waning away from what I want, if the lead says something, you acknowledge, but you acknowledge relating it back to yourself. That's the rapport done. And then what you do is you link it to whatever we're trying to sell. So for example, if I did this with Aman just now. If a lead's gone, yeah, I do manual labor, and he's reached out for fitness coaching. I've asked him what he does for work. He's gone, I do manual labor. I go, oh shit, I done bricklaying like a couple of years ago. And then you go, wait, but surely manual labor keeps you in like pretty fit. How come you're reaching out? And that's done acknowledgement, report, and linked it back to what we're trying to push in the first place. So I feel like lots of you guys struggle with actually trying to get to the point sometimes. And you don't have to ask a silly question. Well, you don't have to ask us a question to look like a setter. You can do all three and sound pretty natural doing it. So I feel like just to help you out with that, because I've heard quite a few
fair.
people really struggle with that. Yeah.
Spur the moment. Just make it seem like a conversation.
Yeah.
I agree. That's fair. All right, let's continue.
Right, so I'll just pull up another one here.
Jamie, you better watch this recording back, bro. I know you're gonna watch
I
like
will.
8 times.
I do watch the recordings back.
Fire. This is fire because it directly for
Jimmy,
you.
I have
And
a
then we'll do
question
this
for
again
you,
the next call.
Jimmy. What do you do for post-booking report? What's your post-booking report look like?
Either afterwards I'll hard qualify them or I'll send them pre-call material. But if I have a good idea already to have money, I won't do that qualification part. And if they've already watched, because Josh put his VSL on YouTube anyway, so if they've already been watching the content, then I'll usually just relay back and just talk about something they brought up earlier in the conversation and then just kind of go from there.
Okay, yeah. All right. So you kind of like just like have a natural kind of conversation with them about whatever afterwards.
Exactly, yeah. It all depends on the lead though. Like if it's a cold lead, then I'll I'll just get them to watch the YouTube content or the VSL. If the lead's already warm and watches the content, I'll just continue building rapport. Or if I'm a little bit skeptic of the lead and their income, then I'm just going to qualify after. And if everything's chill, then I'll send them the VSL and kind of go from there.
All
So
right.
you're not talking to them after. You're just kind of qualifying.
No, I do still talk to them, but it really depends like
Okay.
how many leads I'm talking to in a day. Like sometimes there could be 60, 70, 80 people I'm doing active replies to. So I try to at least get a couple of messages into them in between.
I'll tell you. I'm gonna drop sauce. If they're really straightforward and direct, look them in and do post call report after and just get more out of them after. That's what Chris does really well. So if they're just like being a shitty lead, one word replies, kind of like Mattis we were doing earlier, I'll book you in and then after I'll be like, oh, by the way, my brother was an electrician. How you find it? And you're like, yeah, I don't fuck with it. I'm like, oh, is that weird? I was just trying to get straight in and we continue, you know?
Yeah, I think
So use
post call
post call
report is something
report.
I still need to like improve drastically at the minute because it's okay, but you know it always can do with more work as well.
What is one of your weaknesses right now that the guys in here are significantly better than you at, in your opinion?
Keeping conversation straightforward, definitely. I'd say
Okay.
I beat around the bush a lot, and like as Chris said, like sometimes not me specifically, but rapport sometimes can drift into just being kind of pointless. So I always need to kind of keep it tied, you know, and kind of relate back to what they say, but also try to, you know, bring it back to what we can sell them on as well. But yeah,
That's what I'm
I
gonna do for you.
definitely agree with Chris on that.
Chris is great at this. I want you to get on a call with Chris. I also want you to get on a call with Adam because I think he's pretty good at it. I think it's one of his strong points. And also get on a call with Isaac because he's okay at it. Get on a call with all them boys.
Yeah,
Fuck you.
definitely.
You're muted. But yeah, no, get on a call with them. It'll help you.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'll text you afterwards, boys, and we can set something up.
Stay
Right,
away from
so
the computer.
this is another one. It's this conversation. Yeah, this one was okay. I think the only thing was I didn't dig into pain enough in this one, so it kind of made for an iffy kind of lead or a conversation in general. But I'll run you through it anyway. So, to be honest, I'm not even 100% sure what the food was. Just I think it was like a mixed bowl. Looked all right. So I said, first bit of food, decent food I've seen this happen in a while, just to kind of ease it in a little bit. So thank
That
you,
does
man.
not sound like Josh. That's
Hmm?
so Irish. That does not sound like Josh.
Well, I'm still trying to work on the whole American, whatever you call it, slang terms, colloquialisms, that shit.
I don't think an American's ever called food decent.
Yeah.
Really?
Bro, that shit looks gas. That shit looks fire, bro.
So gay, though.
Oh god.
So gay. But yeah. Right. So, yeah, anyway, went from there. Said sometimes simple keeps it done or it gets it done. For real, bro. Been seeing some crazy shit on this app. Coffee's in, steak and 6 eggs is the method. Staple of the entrepreneur's diet. It's a little bit of a hard transition. I kind of forced it, but it is what it is. I said, where are you based, G? Then he said, haha, I know, right? I'm from, I think, Pennsylvania. How about you? This is a line I don't recommend using as much anymore. Use it very sparingly. I think this was just because it was so like embedded into my head. I just used this most of the time to like kind of suddenly transition the conversation, but it was still a little bit too early. So what you can use here is instead of saying heard the networking's insane, apparently, just even keep it a little bit more light. Just say something like, "Oh, sick, bro. I've been actually meaning to plan a trip out there for a minute. Been cooped up in Miami or whatever, Tampa, Florida. Been cooped up for a minute. Any recommendations on where to stay or some shit to do, etc." And then you can kind of like build it from there. And then if they start talking about gyms or anything like that, then you can start going, "Oh yeah, I've actually heard about that gym. I heard it's pretty sick for networking." Or, "Oh yeah, I've heard of this place. It's sick for online business, etc." You know, how do you find it? Just kind of go from there rather than just going straight in with like a hard transition of heard the networking's insane apparently, because obviously there's not a whole lot of rapport built up here, so kind of forcing it a little bit too much.
Mentally.
So yeah, then he goes, I'm trying to do fitness full time right now and learning as I go. Figures I'd start a page and grow to 11K pretty quick. Now just need to find ways to keep going and make more money as I go. I said, yeah, I hear you, G. You know, not gonna lie, I thought you were already crushing it. With 11K followers, you should be running the bag. How come? Then he said, I have no idea, to be honest. Don't really reach out to many people, kind of just post reels. And if they reach out to me, I'll just follow up and ask them if they're interested in trying it. I could definitely use help, though. And I don't know if my money is the right amount or my dollars the right amount. Now, to be fair, I kind of transitioned to a book call a little bit too early. Like I should have digged into the fact of like what he was saying about, you know, I usually just wait for people to reach out to me, or, you know, I don't know if my dollar amount is the right amount. You know, I kind of should have just digged into that and like, oh, what do you mean, bro? You know, kind of dig up, and then eventually transition. But yeah, I think I got a little bit too excited with this one and just went straight for the call. So then he said, sweet, I'll schedule now, just so I know how much does it cost. You know, no issue, just need to put the budget aside if I sign up. I said, it's 1-to-1, brother, so it's tailored for each guy that comes in, so it varies, but no stress. How much could you realistically afford to invest in yourself? And then just said, got you, thanks. So he just completely, well, he didn't brush it off. I just said, bet. And then he goes, depends if it'd help me out or not. Wouldn't want to spend more than what I make back. And I go, yeah, I feel you, bro. You should check my story highlights before you book. Always recommend people do their due diligence beforehand. And then I just sent them the BSL. And then he said,
Always,
check it
always
out.
recommend doesn't sound like a. Does it look like that right now still? Always recommend
No.
people do their due diligence beforehand. What do you
Josh
do
does
now?
use that, like words like that a lot, though, recommend and shit like that.
Because he's trying to sound really smart. I know, Josh.
Yeah, he does use those type of lines a lot. And due diligence, I've heard him using before, so I just kind of took off that. But yeah.
Somebody bought him a dictionary for his birthday, I reckon. Changed.
What?
Somebody's bought him a dictionary for his birthday, bro. We were in Dubai. This is off topic, but we were in Dubai, and somebody had like Tinder or Hinge or whatever you call it, and he was like scrolling on it, and then all of us were like around him looking at what he was doing, and somebody took a picture, and Josh put it on his story, and he was like, "Your circle determines your success," and it was just us looking at his Hinge or some shit. Like Josh is such it's a joke sometimes, bro. Josh was taking the piss. He's like, yeah, the people around you are super important, and then you see the other side of it, and someone's just on Hinge. Funny as
Fuck's
fuck.
sake, bro. Fuck's sake. But yeah, he goes, yeah, I'll check it out today at some point. Thanks, man. I said, yeah, for sure, I got you. I'll make sure to get back to you this weekend. No worries. And then I followed up, managed to check it out. Gonna check it out tonight. And then Josh put up a new poll. It's something to do with just a group call. This was from his, I think it was the Foundations program. He was just trying to drop sauce, you know, try to get all the leads re-engaged. So yeah, he reached out with the call to action. I just said, bet, I'm gonna drop the sauce. Let me know if you find it helpful. By the way, did you check out the other video I sent you? And he said, yeah, I watched both. Did you get much value from it? Been doing my stuff in for a minute. Yeah, bro, I got a lot out of it. Bet, I'm glad it was helpful, bro. Did you manage to find a time that suits you, by the way, to run up the call? And then slot yourself in, find a day. Yeah, and then this is where he just randomly opens up. Okay, I'll find a slot tomorrow. Desperately want to quit my job and do this full time. I got the start, physique, and the potential. I just need to get the income and the clients. You think you can get me there? So obviously he was a little bit apprehensive. Now, I'd say this is only because I didn't really develop that much conversation with him from the very beginning, and I just kind of hard transitioned. But if I had just held authority and kind of giving them a little bit of vague sauce and also make it sound like I know what the fuck I'm doing, he would have been a little bit more confident and he probably wouldn't have used the line like that. So that was a mistake I made there. But yeah.
I know
think
so
he-
brother was too subtle. I would have had that as a whole separate section. Like I know so brother, before you book him by the way, I would have given him a little bit more there and then get yourself hyped, get rid of that, bro. What the hell?
Yeah.
That shit sucks. Before you book in. Like I don't know why you're doing it before you book in, check my story highlight. That's like me telling yo, I got 3 results highlights. Go watch them all before we get on the call so I know I can close you. Like people aren't retarded, you know? Like I wouldn't say that. I know so brother. Like I give you this whole little thing about I'm afraid that if you're even gonna be able to help me and you're like, I know I can. Oh, by the way, like go check out all my stories type shit. Like you're gonna be like, fuck you. What are you talking about, bro? I have this fear and you're like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's not good.
Yeah.
You gotta more
think I
put
just
emphasis
wanted
on
to
pain
reassure
points,
him.
you know? But you didn't reassure him. You told him to go watch stories highlights so he can get hyped. And
No,
he
I
said
think it
because
was
your
more
days are
just
numbered.
I wanted him to see the results, but yeah, I get you.
Would he have been more inclined to reply if the whole thing was about, yeah, bro, like honestly, you should be able to quit your job pretty soon. Like once we dial this in and that in, like you'll be chilling. Would he have been more inclined to reply? Because it's more personalized to him. Yeah. But you generalize again, you were like, yo, go watch stories. And then he didn't even fucking reply to you until you followed up.
Yeah.
Yo, Jamie, why did you join me? Because I treated you like a fucking person. When we got on a call, we were having a conversation. But you're not doing that. You're doing the opposite right now. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta breathe and be
No, I
like,
get
it's a fucking human. This is a human, yo. Pretty bad. Alright.
Mute
Yeah,
yourself.
so
Mute your
wait, what?
No, he's just talking shit. Alright, let's do it.
Yeah, so then I followed up. Yo, what's good, brother? Managed to find a time that works for you. Just cleaning up my schedule for the week right now. And he said, the only thing I'm nervous about is putting money out there and not getting it back. And then Josh sent him a voice note, just kind of like reassuring him and saying, you know, the call is just an opportunity for us to get to know each other a bit more, figure out your situation, and if I can even help you in the first place, you know, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I'm going to book in tomorrow morning, find a time that works. Good shit, brother. Look forward to running it up. How's today been so far? Hey, bro, sorry, I scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's the only time I had open. I said, yes, no stress. Just check your calendar answers. Does your 95 pay less than 1K a month? Crazy if they're doing that to you, man. And he said, so right now, I just finished school to be a teacher, no job yet. I'm a bartender at the minute and work 2 nights a week, probably around 1,600 a month. And then from there, I just said, look, got you, bro. My appointment manager is going to give you a quick call before, by the way, before I call, just to give you some more info and run you through a couple of things. And then this was actually Matthew just jumped in and started sending this while I was in work. Yeah.
You gotta understand, Matthew's the best setter in the world. And, like, I don't know why he's still not joining these calls. I was talking about it today. Like, I know he's training you in, but he's not as good as you should be. You know what I mean?
Just a little thing as well. The switch from caps to no caps is like if they're not retarded, they might pick up on that. Like
Yeah.
why have switched? So just be careful, just be wary of that. Tell the other guy to be wary of that. I don't know.
Especially as you deal with more competent people, they're gonna pick up on that.
Yeah. No. Yeah, then he just gave his number and said it won't be available till 10 to 10. All right, then just make sure to, he just sent that as well. All right, then just make sure to watch the video on the booking email before the call. And Josh ended up sleeping in, which was kind of annoying. He didn't even take the call after, so kind of, it wasn't
Family
great.
emergency is crazy work.
Yeah, I know. But he's done that for like two or three of the calls now where he just sleeps in. I'm just like, okay, fair enough. It's kind of weird. But yeah.
Once he fixes his closing, let's get him a closer ASAP. I'm gonna be on that for you as well. Because it's like you should get a closer when you're doing 50 a month consistently, and he's not far off that. So
Yeah.
too soon. He just wants to learn the skill set first, because I told him the biggest problem in your business right now is fucking you, bro.
Yeah. So
Also, apologies, my bad. Like that's not a real sorry. If I were there and I saw that DM, I would have been like, sorry, bro, at the end. Just that little extra. Because people don't want to get up their high horse and say sorry anymore. I'm sure you've seen it before, people. I would have just said that extra. I would have helped at a level, but
yeah. So Josh then sent him a voice note just kind of explaining, the whole situation again. even though it probably wasn't necessary. But then he said, we can hop on a call later on tonight. I can, clear out a couple of things, and then we can kind of go from there and see how I can help. And then he goes, okay, I'll check a time out after work tonight, probably for tomorrow. And then Josh was pretty much just relaying the same thing back to him. The earliest I would be able to do tonight would be like 8 p.m. And then he said, yeah, that's cool. But the only thing was, like, he used the exact same line that was used up here. I don't know, it just kind of comes off as a little bit robotic at this point, which wasn't great. He said, yeah, I'll just give you a quick call before just to run through our process a bit. And I'm fairly sure Matt was already on the phone from beforehand already, so it kind of looks weird that he's saying he'll call you again to run you through the same process again. But however. And then he goes, okay, sweet. Give you a call around 8 p.m. As soon as that's wrapped up, and we'll have our call to dive deeper into all that. Then he had the call with him. The guy was warm. The only thing is he didn't have exactly 2K on him for that call. I think it was like 1,500. So he said he was going to go check with, I think it was bank, if he could get a loan or some shit like that. And then Josh just said, keep me updated, bro. Let me see what we can do. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of the conversation. So then I tried and open him back up with a story and see if I can get somewhere with him. But yeah, that was it so far.
Cool. Any feedback on that conversation? Then I want to do something for the newer boys in here. Any feedback on that, boys? Like anything from that conversation you want to add real quick?
From me or from
No.
Anyone. No? Okay, cool. Jamie, what's been the most helpful thing you've learned on this call so far? Or like entirety, I guess.
I'd say probably not asking dog shit questions, kind of keep it more simple, like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, how come? Just kind of get them to explain things a little bit more. When Chris said about structuring your sentences better. So kind of keep the question to the end rather than just, asking the question first and then having like 2-3 statements, because they can easily just reply to the statement rather than the question. They can kind of just breeze over that really easily.
Yeah.
I would say with the point about holding authority as well, and not using that line about, oh yeah, well, hello autistic bro, so I'd rather keep it on my calendar. I could have just played it off a little bit more cool. Yeah, I think it's just more or less the subtle things when I'm setting that really fucks me up into the grander scheme of things. It's just the small.
Tomorrow we have that call, so I want you to try and implement as much of this stuff as you can before that call, and then when we get on another call tomorrow, I want you to be able to dissect your own conversations, and you should be able to after today. Is that cool?
Yeah, definitely, bro.
Beautiful.
Definitely.
Now, for the newer guys in here, Zach, what did you learn today that you didn't know before? Let's see.
I didn't realize how important like the actual structure is of what you're saying, and how important that is, and how it comes across to the person you're texting. It's quite psychological, and it's those little things that can make like such a big difference.
This is setting at a high level. It doesn't make that big of a difference, but it's like if you want to get really fucking good, this is good.
Yeah. It's those little things.
But yeah, good shit. What about you, Peter?
I say Chris said something really good about report building. He kind of like remove that unnecessary report building and acknowledge, like, let's say you say was it plumbing or something like that. He was like, acknowledge it, relay that to yourself, and then try build off it. So like, oh, isn't plumbing like a good pay? Why are you trying to get into e-com or trading or something? And kind of just like lead the conversation where you want it to go.
Was it bricklaying?
Yeah, it was bricklaying. He said he did manual labor, so I said I did bricklaying, and then obviously he's doing manual labor. Improve his fitness.
What about you, Mattis? I know you've been in here for a little bit longer, but
Oh yeah, I figured out the post booking report, or just like ask questions after the booking might be really good, as we talked about it on our call as well. And yeah, the statements, like, just just acknowledge whatever they say. The same thing you were saying, just like repeat it in a more smarter way, just to give a statement and then follow up another open question.
yeah, just be a real fucking dude, bro. People don't want to talk to robots. People don't fuck with robots, right? But AI, that's you. Now, let me ask you boys this: how many of you took notes on this call?
Yeah, I did.
Adam did. Sorry, Zach did. Peter, did you? I don't fuck with you no more, Peter. You better watch this recording, bro. Honestly, if I were you, first of all, I'd be like, what the fuck? This is a lot of random shit. I'd do hella role plays, try to implement some of this, and I'd watch the recording back too, because some of this shit's pretty good. Like, genuinely, this is a saucy ass fucking call. Like, even Adam's taking notes, he's been in here for a fucking minute. So, if he's taking notes, you should be taking notes. Because if you want to do management or you want to go into Growth Up or whatever the fuck, like a sales agency, you're going to have to know these small little things. Because majority of sales managers nowadays don't do this. They don't know psychology. They don't even know how to really fucking set. So if you can learn this when you go and you transition, you're going to be so good at your craft that it's going to be so easy. Because if you can dial all this shit in, maybe you book in an extra person a week or maybe an extra person a month. That's an extra fucking sale. That's going to make your clients more money. If you choose to go into management or recruitment or whatever, ultimately you'll make more fucking money and you'll be the better sales manager. This is the leverage because no other community trends you in this well. So if you guys want to take advantage, you're going to be really fucking good. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Let's see if the new boys picked anything up. Jamie, get on a call with Isaac, Cruz, and Adam if I were you. For sure,
Yeah.
that's going to be helpful for you. That's funny listing off everyone, but I think it'll be really fucking helpful. Yeah,
Right.
that's pretty much everything from me.